is Pete. No matter. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM in the great state of Seattle. We're here. We're having another good show. We're going to be talking to some new guests here from Transforming Age. Guys, you know, this, as you know, I've talked about this very regularly on my show. It's near and dear to my heart. This is all about how do you create independence and mobility and all the good stuff as your parents or you get older and take care of those situations. You know, I talked about my father many, many years ago when he passed away. There just was none of this stuff. And we're going to discuss that, kind of how the market's matured and things. But, you know, the thing about it is, most importantly, is, as my dad used to always say, there's only two things in life that are inevitable, and that's death and taxes. So I'm not trying to be morbid, but we are getting older, and so we got to look at this with our parents, and we're going to have a really good discussion. We got two individuals here today. First one, his name is Don Warfield. He is the sales and marketing director at, I guess, Skyline Properties, right?
That is correct.
How are you doing, Don?
I'm fantastic.
Good. It's good to have you here, man.
Thank you.
Glad to talk to you.
It's a great topic.
Yeah, and we got Ryan Miller, who's the assistant executive director. And are you the assistant executive director with Transforming Age?
No, just at the Skyline
At
property.
Skyline, okay. We'll get into what Skyline Properties is and things like that first. But before we do that, I want to talk to you guys. Maybe, Don, let's first start by talking about the story of Transforming Age, how long it's been around, and why you guys exist.
It's a fantastic story, Pete. It's been around a long time. It was established in 1956 as a nonprofit right here in Seattle.
Okay.
Presbyterian Church found it, and they were forward-thinking and realized the need for senior living for their elders. And it all started with our first community down in Madison Park called Park Shore.
Okay.
And it's grown. And the church slowly phased out of it and is no longer directly involved. And we rebranded. We got outside the Northwest. So we went from Presbyterian Retirement Communities Northwest to Transforming Age. And I think it was just over about 3.5 years ago. We rebranded. Because we have communities outside the Northwest, and we serve a lot of seniors in the Northwest and in Minnesota and Nebraska.
Okay.
So it's been a fantastic story that the need is there, and we're continuing to grow with the need.
It for sure is. And then, so how did you get started with this organization? What's your story?
It's similar to what you just shared with us. I'm a son, and I wear two hats. The industry found me just over 7 years ago. When I wasn't really looking for it, but at the same time I was helping my parents, my mother struggling with early onset of Alzheimer's, and my father trying to take care of her.
Yeah.
And
you got some gray hair like me.
I got gray when I was about 19. I can't explain that one. I just want enough hair to get a haircut still, so I'll take it.
That's good.
But the story is I had to help my parents make some tough decisions. I found the industry and fell in love with it. It's my passion. I believe in it. There's 10,000 seniors turning 65 every day. The market isn't slowing down. The market's growing, and it's been one that has given back to me as much as I've given to it. Yeah. So,
you know, Don, it's funny you bring that up, and Ryan, I'll get to you in just a sec here. But my dad had full-blown dementia. Thought I was his dad. I mean, it's one of those things when you're looking at your father, you're looking at your mother, and you see that, and it kind of breaks your heart. It's a tough deal.
It's the toughest, and I grew up with I'm one of five, and my mother was there for us, and the one thing she feared growing up was Alzheimer's, and here we are confronted with it, and I've wished if I could go back and do some things differently, and if I knew more about the industry that we'll talk about here today, is help my parents make a decision they could have stayed together and moved to a community where they had the answers to my mother's need and not have to separate.
So don't lose that thought.
I won't.
One of the segments I want to go back and talk to you about that. If you just joined us too, this is Pete with Home Matters, KIRO Radio 97.3 FM, Seattle's News and Seattle's Talk. So now we're going to move over to Ryan Miller. Again, he's the assistant executive director. So Ryan, what's your story? Why did you join the company? I mean, everybody kind of has their passion about this. So what's your passion towards this?
Mine, as well as both of yours, kind of started with the family. Grandparents were going through the retirement living situation that we all experience at one point or another. And at a period of time, I just kind of thought, you know what, I think I could do a little bit better than some of the communities that were being operated that they were living in. And focused my attention in college on that topic, and I've been in the industry ever since. It's been about 11 years.
When you say focus in college, did you take a particular degree in that?
No, I just general business administration, but I focused all my senior projects, all my course projects on this industry.
Wow.
If it was a marketing class, I was focusing it on marketing retirement communities. If it was an operations class, building a portfolio for the industry and starting to meet those industry operators that ended up being kind of my way into the industry after college.
Yeah, that's very cool, Ryan. It sounds like you're going to be a lifer in this industry. That's pretty neat.
We need more.
It's looking like it.
Yeah, it's like policemen, firemen. I think this is another one that I think is really cool that you have decided to move in this direction. There's a lot of people that need help out there. So
I agree.
If I can add to it, I'm glad to hear Ryan share a story. My son graduated Washington State a couple of years ago in the hospitality program, and they were pushing a lot of those younger folks coming out that the growing industry and the opportunities really in senior living.
Yeah.
Now, for a 19, 20, 21-year-old, that may not be really appealing coming out of college, but that's really where the growth is within the hospitality program.
Yeah.
And that's what we are, hospitality with a lot of care and services for 62 and up.
Yeah. No, it's really true. I mean, I come from tech. It's either tech or hospitality these days, it seems like. Now there's still not much in the middle. So that's good. Okay, let's get into this. I want to, now that we've had the story and kind of what you guys are all about. So let's first talk about, parents getting older. Maybe Ryan, you can talk a little bit about what are some signs that you got to kind of look out for that it's like, maybe I should be having a chat with my folks or my grand folks.
It can be challenging when you're trying to see it from your own family in their own homes, because people kind of get into their typical routines, and when they're set in their routines, they're able to kind of hide some of that sense of aging or that.
Did you see anything with your grandparents that kind of triggered it? I mean, in your own situation?
When they first started going in, I was pretty young, so I didn't see a lot of it, I would say. I was kind of in the high school. I was focused on sports, but looking back on it now, certainly one of my grandparents, my grandma, her husband had passed away almost 20 years prior, and when I think about social isolation, I can look back and see that, I mean, she wasn't driving anymore. She wasn't leaving the house. We were going to her once a week, checking in on her, and she just wasn't doing the things. Like, she was in a bowling league for years. I mean, 30, 40 years, and just stopped one day. And, I mean, she smoked her entire life. Yeah. But one day just couldn't drive to go get packs of cigarettes anymore. And
my dad did the same thing.
Yeah. But it is challenging. I mean, certainly from our perspective as operators, we look at a lot of things a lot differently now that we're in the know, I would say.
Yeah.
But certainly if people are missing appointments, if they're not getting out to the family dinners or the activities that they've once been involved with, those are some of the more obvious signs, the easier signs to see.
Just real quick, because I've got to wrap this segment down, but you had a personal experience with your own parents, so what was yours that kind of the signs?
Well, it was the conversations we were having with my father, who became the caregiver.
Okay. And
you could see the stress and challenge that he was having, and he was in great health. Yeah. And that's what happens when they try to take care of each other. It starts to hurt the health of the caregiver, and it becomes more about the caregiver.
Yeah.
So we had to make some tough decisions. It's not easy having that conversation with your parents.
It's tough. Yeah.
But I think you go into it gentle and you understand how things are around the home. You look for signs where you can have that conversation, and you gauge it in planning. We're always been planning. So
that sounds good. Thank you, Don. Yeah. We get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of the options. There's a whole spectrum, guys. And I've been through the whole gamut from in-home all the way up to skilled nursing with my mom right now. We're going to talk about the history of what's going on here, because my dad, 15 years ago, there was none of this stuff. So it's good that we have these programs now. We have Transforming Age. I'll get a pencil and paper, because I'm going to give you their website, and then you're going to get a chance to call Fahima. That's a big shout-out for her. We'll give you her phone number, too, as well. With that, I'm Pete. This is Home Matters, KIRO Radio 97.3 FM, Seattle's News, and Seattle's Talk. All right, we're back. This is Pete with Home Matters, KIRO Radio 97.3 FM, Seattle's News, and Seattle's Talk. We're having a really good discussion. with Transforming Age, and it's both Don Warfield and Ryan Miller. And here's the thing, guys. I want you, if you have your pencil and paper now, if you want to contact these guys, we're going to talk about their Skyline properties coming up here pretty soon in this segment or next, but you can contact them on the website at skylineseattle.org if you want to check that out. That's kind of where you hang out, Don, right? Is that correct?
That's where you can find me.
Yeah, okay. That's good. And then, Ryan, are you over in Skyline too?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll definitely talk about Skyline properties. But I'm also going to get into, guys, because there's a whole range of affordability here, and we're going to discuss that because I know you're thinking about it. But if you have any questions about this, write this number down. It's 206-405-4100. It's 206-405-4100, and you want to ask for Fahima, right?
That's the one.
Fahima, big shout out to Fahima. Good job over there. And she will help you out and answer your questions. Just tell them Pete sent you over there from Home Matters. Okay, so let's get back into our discussion here. Let's first start with, before we get into like the whole continuum of care, Don, maybe you could talk about like where the market has come from 10 or 15 years ago. Because to be honest with you guys, when my dad was sick about 17, 18 years ago, all I had was the cleaning lady who did the cooking who came in and took care of him because we didn't have any of this kind of stuff. It was kind of the Wild West. I went to the hospital, St. Peter's, and they go, well, we don't really have anything to help you out with. So where has it come from there to kind of where it is now?
Yeah, the transition in the marketplace is growing every single day. The market is expanding. We're 10,000 people turning 65 every day.
Yeah.
And Ryan and I were just at a conference last week where it's shown that trend isn't going to slow down until 2030. And we have 11 good more years of this, and it's really market-driven. But where we are today versus in the past, kind of like you, Pete, I remember having to volunteer on Mercer Island at the convalescent home. And we've gone from the convalescent home that you walked into, which was a very scary situation to leave a loved one who was maybe on the last part of their life, to today where we're meeting the demands of the younger marketplace that wants a lifestyle. And if we, the industry, don't keep up, we're going to get in trouble. This is expanding market. These places offer more than just care. They offer, a lifestyle that people want to live and enjoy what they do every single day, knowing that there's a safety net of care there. So it's expanded from places just being assisted living or skilled nursing to now all incorporated in one community like Skyline. And there's a lot of great communities in the greater Northwest. You can't go wrong. But you need to know what's right for you, because not every community is right for every person. Yeah. But the expansion and the growth is incredible, and we're doing some incredible things with technology, trying to serve more seniors every single day.
That's very cool, Don. As far as my dad, I'll tell you what, he was a full-blooded Ukrainian. And he told me, he said, because the convalescent homes at that time were scary. And he said, you ever take me over there, I'll shoot myself. He said, I want to stay in the house. I do not want to go anywhere. Unfortunately, we were able to do that. But that's just kind of the way people think, especially his generation. And nursing homes were very scary places back then.
Yeah, they were, and you're exactly right. Those are places that you went into, and they provided everything.
Yeah.
3 meals a day, everything was taken care of for you. They told you where to go, where to be. Someone was taking care of you.
It was almost institutional, which is not that way anymore. It's more free lifestyle, independent. So going back to that, so Ryan, now that we've kind of come from there to here, what are some of the ranges of choices for people? I guess it starts with staying in home all the way up to skilled nursing. So can you kind of talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, some of the first things that you can start with in your home is outpatient rehab. So PTOT speech, that there's organizations that'll come to your home.
Yeah. So if somebody had a surgery or injured or something like that, is that what you're talking about? Or
yeah, that, and just for just general aging.
Mobility and things like that. Okay,
and
got it.
There's insurances that'll pay for those types of services or supplement it.
Okay.
And then there's also in-home caregiving as well for people that just need that additional assistance with their activities of every day.
Okay.
It could be some care, it could be medication management. You name it. There's services out there. Some of the more obvious things to help you stay in your home is housekeeping, laundry service, meals delivery, and yard work.
Yeah.
Landscapers coming in to help you stay in your home longer.
Yeah. I did not know this, but one of the things, my mom's in a skilled nursing facility down in La Jolla, California, but I guess they even have skilled nursing in home care, where you can come in and the nurse can take care of them and things like that, which is wonderful, I think.
Yeah, they call that home health care.
Yeah, it's nice because it's a familiar environment. You don't have to, be in a facility. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's incredible. If I can jump in a little bit,
Sure.
I do a seminar, done a presentation on options, and one of the slides that always gets a good laugh is, what is your plan? What are your options as I hit 62 plus?
Yeah.
And one of the options we say, well, you can just stay in your home. And what's the next 10 years going to look like? Are they going to look like the last 10 years? Mm-hmm. And what's your plan if you stay in your home? Who's going to help you when you need help? And are you going to get secluded? One of the ones we always put up there is, when time comes, you might want to move in with your children.
Yeah.
I got to laugh. I love my dad to death, but he's not moving in with me. That's not good for me and not good for him.
Yeah.
But, and then Brian just talked about one of the options is set up a plan to stay in your home. That's an option, but know what you're going to do. But that care is going to fall on your shoulders.
But Don, what is the question I have, though? Is there a distinction between independent living, like out of someplace, like you're talking about, and assisted living?
Absolutely.
What is the difference there?
Well, independent is if, Pete, if you were moving in today, you live independently. We have certain requirements. And
I'm not 65 yet.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't going to guess that. I didn't want to be thrown out of here on my rear end.
Not too far away, though.
We require that you're truly independent when you move into a community like Skyline or any other in the greater Northwest area, which means you don't have help already coming in with you at some level. Now, my wife and I help each other all the time, and we could move in together when we're age qualified, and she may be my caregiver. But that's one of the requirements. And if you come in with assisted living, then we have an assisted living aspect in the community that's going to be more suited. So it's really individually driven, but we do screen for it. Okay.
Sounds good. When we come back, because I got a couple questions about the independent living. My mom used to live in Panorama down in Olympia. And that's kind of like probably your Skyline where there's a lot of activity. So I want to talk about that and then move into the assisted and then kind of move into memory care. And so everybody, you guys all get this. The thing about this, too, is if you just joined us, go back and listen to this. You can check it out on mynorthwest.com/home matters. It's up there in podcasts in perpetuity to check it out. Big shout out to Fahima. Give her a call at 206-405-4100. With that, I'm Pete. This is Home Matters, Car Radio 97.3 FM, Seattle's news and Seattle's talk. Okay, we're back. This is Pete with Home Matters, Car Radio 97.3 FM in the great state of Seattle. We're having a great talk with a couple of fellows from Transforming Age. We're going to get into the Skyline properties they have and some of the other properties as well. It's Don Warfield and Ryan Miller. You can check them out at skylineseattle.org. Don, if somebody really wanted to talk to you, can they?
Absolutely.
Okay, Ryan, same? Or,
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if they wanted to, other than Fahima, if they decide they want to talk to one of you guys, they could.
Fahima does a great job at introducing and welcoming someone, and she turns it over to us.
Do you? Okay.
We're really an advocate, Pete. We're really, at the end of the day, we want to find out what's right for that individual and help them make a decision.
That's good. And we're going to get into that a little bit because the transition aspect of this it happened for my mom. It's massive. And so how do you make that easy for them? But before we do that, we left the last segment talking about independent versus assisted. Just so people get in their mind, let's talk maybe Skyline Properties, because that's a new one that's opening. Is that correct?
Well, Skyline, let me clarify. Skyline's been open almost 10 years.
October, it has? Okay.
Where we take up the whole city block there. But when we opened up Skyline, we thought long-term because the baby boomer generation. Yeah. So we always knew that we had expansion plans, which we're in the middle of marketing now for a second tower that's located just adjacent to current.
But Skyline is independent living, correct?
It's independent
or does it
living,
have assisted as well?
Let me clarify. It's considered a continuing care retirement community, which you'll hear CCRC, or where the industry is trying to shift, the nonprofit industry is calling them life plan communities. Okay. But we can provide every possible level of living for someone 62 plus other than stay at a hospital.
Okay.
So we talk about independent living. That's when you should move and enjoy life. Yeah. Then you have a safety net what I call a safety net of higher care should life pick on you.
So if you transition, then they don't have to move anywhere else. They can kind of stay there as they transition through.
At Skyline, they would transition if they need assisted living. There's a possibility that they're going to move into an assisted living apartment that we take over their care on a daily basis and create a care plan.
Is that within the Skyline facility?
Yes.
Okay, so you just kind of move from place to place. You have different areas.
Correct. It's put in place. It's a great plan. It gives you a lifetime plan, and you have a lifetime of access to care, and you don't have to worry about leaving unless maybe you had to go to a hospital. So it's a fantastic plan, and what a wonderful gift you give to your children and grandchildren because they know their loved ones are in a great place.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, Ryan, I got to ask you, because I know my mom, she was in Panorama City down south. You guys are similar. So what are all the things that are available for someone in an independent living situation? Because it was phenomenal. I was like, wow, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, I could probably take up the rest of the segment trying to go through all
I bet
the
you could.
and services. Yeah,
He's not in sales either.
Yeah. But, on the independent side, we have a wide variety of clubs and committees that the residents are involved in. We have bistro, restaurants. We bring in speakers for lifelong education for our residents.
That's cool.
Fitness gym, pool. On the healthcare sides, we have our outpatient rehab clinic as well as an inpatient rehab clinic.
So you have a pool and a fitness facility.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do all sorts of water aerobic classes. We have some assisted living residents that do lap swimming every day. And
what do you guys do? Because I know down south they were doing where they take people out. If they want to go to the movies or opera or whatever, do you have that same kind of thing where you have a van or a bus or?
Yep. We have a couple town cars and a couple vans that we take people out on more group size activities.
So they can go in style then.
Oh, yeah. Cool. We take them down to the theater. We take them shopping.
Okay.
Medical appointments, you name it.
Okay, so Don, how do they find out about all these activities that you have at your different facilities?
Well, through the process of vetting Skyline or any community, you're going to come in multiple times. Sometimes it can be years before someone says, I'm ready to move in.
Yeah. And
we really gives folks an opportunity to test drive the community. We have a wait list, and folks jump on the wait list based on their timing or their apartment preference.
How long is your wait list?
Our wait list, raw number-wise, is over 200.
Okay.
But let me tell you, everyone has a wait list, every community out there.
Yeah.
People jump on the wait list, check. My neighbor did that. Some people jump on the wait list, and they're truly 3, 4, 5 years out.
Yeah.
And some people wait for a particular apartment. But it's the best tool we can because we're going to get to know you and advocate for you on Skyline. And I will say most of our waitlist members are likely to be on other waitlists at other communities.
No, my mom was. It was over a year before she got into Panorama, and that's typical. It's if it's a good facility, people want to come.
It's it's kind of like it's somewhat buying a car. You go and test drive that car, you kick those tires, and same in senior living, although it's over a longer course of time. And they come in and get involved in activities and outings and really know that at the end of the day, when they're ready, then it falls on my shoulders to find the apartment they want at their timing. And when we do that, it works great. It's a smooth transition. They're ready to get out of that home and join a community. And, some of these people still work. And these folks are independent. We have a number of our residents are still active, running their own businesses or going into the office. And
they're just living at the facility.
Right.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Do we buy a condo downtown or do we look at something like Skyline? And we don't have,
Where is Skyline located?
We're on 9th and Columbia. We take up the whole block between Cherry and Columbia.
Yeah. That's very cool. If you just joined us, too, this is People with Home Matters, Car Radio 97.3 FM. So before we wrap this segment down, though, I want to ask about this because this is a big deal, and it hit us with my mother. And that is this whole transition and the waitlist type thing, putting it together. Because you guys, look, here's the thing. If you go, well, I'm just going to sit around, I'll wait till later to do this. Later will come, but you won't be on the wait list. And then you got all this transition stuff. I'm just being honest with you. It took about a year and about 5 or 6 trips up here to clean my mother's house out. Now, she was a little bit of a hoarder, but you may be in that same situation. So how do you deal with that, Don?
That's the toughest, one of the toughest ones. One of the biggest feedbacks or excuses I'll hear is we are not ready to move because we have so much stuff. We call it the mountain of stuff. Yeah. You got to let the mountain go. You got to get around the mountain and focus. There are fantastic right-sizing companies to handle all that. the best time to move, Pete, and you know this from your own experience and my experience with my mom and dad, is when your health is good.
Yeah.
Do you want to move when your health is poor and you have less choices?
And they don't feel like it then either.
Yeah, and then power of attorneys or kids or grandkids are trying to make a tough decision. It was tough having to split up my parents. I wish that they could have moved when they were both healthy. Don't worry about the mountain stuff. Don't worry about all that. That can be taken care of. Focus on what's right for you, what the community is. Get to know the community and really make those folks work for you so you know that you're making the right decision. And make it when you're healthy and you can enjoy the community to its fullest.
Yeah, when we come back, I'm going to ask Ryan and Don about, well, how do you go about doing that? And then we're also going to get into, the thing about cost and the range of choices, because not everybody, guys, look, there's some of, us that, we can afford the high end, and there's some of us that we need a little more affordable solution. And there's something for everybody out there. So we're going to talk with both of these guys about that. They're from Transforming Age. Give Fahima a shout out there, 206-405-4100. With that, I'm Pete. This is Home Matters, KIRO Radio 97.3 FM, Seattle's News and Seattle's Talk. Okay, we are back. Pete with Home Matters, KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. Having a great talk with a couple of fellows here from Transforming Age. Don Warfield, you can ask for him after you get past Fahima, who's pretty easy, apparently, from what I hear off radio.
She's a nice lady. You will like her.
Nice lady. She's not the gatekeeper. She's the welcomer. And then we have Ryan Miller as well. Both of those guys, the individuals, they can speak with you, kind of take care of this. So before we move into the kind of the choices and cost structures, I want to ask Don, so you mentioned in the last segment about this transition and don't wait. But in people's minds, whether it is the parents or it's the baby boomer, the kids, that is a huge, huge momentum thing to get over. So how do you make it easy and convenient for them?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. There's a lot of event opportunities within the industry at different communities, and that's probably the simplest step and maybe the less stressful. I mean, we market and talk about coming in for a one-on-one visit and tour, but for some people that's too serious.
Yeah, and overwhelming too.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
So like us, there's a number of communities that will do educational events, and you can join up to come in and then have a tour. Or it could be an open house, or it can be just time spent, on the websites, getting to know us and the videos and really easing into it. Eventually, the one-on-one, when I really get to know the individual and help, it really is where you want to be. But there's plenty of opportunity in terms of these communities to go in and see them without being intimidated.
So you have like tours and things
we do tours, we do open houses, we do social events, and we really make it simple just to get them in and start that relationship and build that relationship, which is so important.
That's good.
And then, we leave it up to them. We'll check in, but eventually they come in and get to meet us, and we get to really dig in. And
I'll tell you what, if you had a martini hour, I'd be there.
We can take care of you.
But the other thing, though, too, is at some point in time, someone's got to go out and talk to the individuals in the home. So do you have partnerships with companies that do that, where they can go in and assess the situation?
Yeah, and we see that. I see answering that in two ways. I will do home visits just to get to know someone, just to kind of see what they're up against. They come in and they meet with me, and they tell me they're in this home and this is the challenge. And sometimes when we get out and see the home, we can really see what's the struggles
what they're
for them.
Up against. Yeah.
So we try to do home visits. I think you're also talking at a level where someone's starting to need some help and they need some in-home care, or someone comes out and assesses them. And we have some good partnerships with companies that do that, and oftentimes will be a referral.
Okay.
And that will be the starting point where someone says, you need to go see a community like Skyline that has the answers to what you need. Most of Skyline's focus in Transforming Age is within the community,
right? And
that's where we're focused.
Do you make it easy for them? Like you can come pick them up and bring them to the facility, or how do you?
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. If someone can't get there, we'll drive out and pick them up.
Yeah.
I'll go out and do the home and do a presentation, or just meet with them and bring the iPad with them. Anything they need. There's folks on Bainbridge Island, Woodby Island. That's hard to get to, and we try to go out and do what I call off-site meet and greets.
Okay.
And those go a long way. And that's really the starting point for some people.
It is, and it makes it easier for them. So, Ryan, I want to ask you now, so we got to talk about this, like, range of cost, because people are going to be asking, they're thinking about that, right? I would be if I was listening to this show. So you guys have multiple properties. I know you're multiple states, but let's talk about the local area here. So what do you offer, like, from kind of the spectrum, from most affordable on up to the, most accessible, most amenities? How does that work?
We have 6 communities in the greater Puget Sound area, and we have a variety of different business models. Some support the really low income model, accept Medicaid, very affordable there. And it ranges all the way up to the highest cost options with huge amounts of services and amenities, and Skyline falls into that category. Our independent living can be as low as $3,500 a month.
Okay.
But can also go up with double occupancy around $7,000 a month.
Okay.
Our assisted livings can range in the $10,000 to $12,000 range per month. Memory care or memory support options can range around that $11,000. Our community is all inclusive at that $11,000, and then the skilled nursing is costly when it comes to private funded. Yeah. And some of them that don't accept Medicaid can range up to $15,000 a month.
Yeah, my mom's around that range, but she's in skilled nursing. It's 24/7. Yeah. There's nurses, CNAs, all that on site, which she needs that, and that's sometimes that's what people need.
When I meet with folks, I urge folks to visit as many other communities they want, but they have to ask those questions. You got to dig in and understand the financial model, because the communities vary financially in their model, and you have to ask those questions. If I live independently and I transition to higher care, lay out the financial impact on me. How does that look? Because there's communities out there that are known as fee-for-service communities. There's communities out there that are called life care communities, which Skyline is. And they're all financial different models for higher care. Yeah. Some communities are entrance fee